What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so it was last week when Kevin Durant, in part two of LeBron James's interview with him on the Mind the Game podcast, made that much maligned, remark, that controversial remark regarding Michael Jordan. He made a rather flippant statement when he was talking about NBA players' commitment to basketball. He made a statement that obviously was to put LeBron James in a higher, a more favorable light compared to Michael Jordan. He was clearly talking about Michael Jordan, even though he didn't mention him by name, saying that, when it comes to commitment of the game, some players want to go run play baseball in a very condescending tone, to which LeBron James laughed at that. We all know that LeBron has a cold war with Michael Jordan and his fans as far as being the GOAT. Steve Nash nervously laughed at it. And I felt Kevin Durant was pressured in kind of saying something like that because he knows LeBron James resents Michael Jordan, right? This is the thing about that, right? This is why that pissed a lot of people off, because the insinuation was Michael Jordan didn't get the most out of his talents and that he wasn't as committed to playing baseball as others. And for somebody to utter something like that, knowing who Michael Jordan was and knowing how competitive and how demanding he was, not of others, but of himself, is an absolute disgrace. First of all, one of the reasons why he went to leave and play baseball was because he feared that he was not going to be as 100% committed and as devoted to playing basketball, as he demands of himself and of his teammates. He expects to give 100%. He expects, if healthy, to play in all, if not nearly all 82 games, something that Kevin Durant, I don't know if he's ever done that, maybe once. I think LeBron did it once. These guys have constantly played in less than 70 games for the most part over the past several years. But they want to question the commitment of a man that most people still see 20 years after he's played the GOAT. Now, we all know one of the main reasons why Michael Jordan went to go play baseball is because the tragic passing of his father. I hesitate to even say the term passing because his father did not have a peaceful passing. His father was tragically unalived in the summer of 1993. His decomposed body was found several days later in his car. The men who committed that grisly unaliving, I think they're both still in prison. That in itself is tragic enough, right? His father had always wanted him to go play baseball when he was a kid. That was his first love. And part of it was honoring his father. His father had been with him all the way from the beginning of his career to that last championship, just a few weeks before his tragic unaliving. I say unaliving for those who kind of question why I'm saying that. We're not used to YouTube. We're still not supposed to use certain buzzwords, but I kind of think that YouTube is kind of loosening their grip on some of that. So I might start using some terminology a little bit more frequently. But anyway, also the main reason why Michael Jordan went to go play baseball is because of the fact that he was starting to lose his passion for the game. He was losing that love, that zest, that thing that had always been pushing him since he was a kid. Back in 2017, he talked about this, which is why I think it's relevant to play this today. He talked about this in an interview with Cigar Aficionado about how those minor leaguers helped him to recalibrate that love and that zest and get it back.
But for me to go play baseball, and everybody says, oh, it was a failed opportunity to play baseball. That's what they think. For me, it was the best thing that could have happened for me because it allowed me to go back to the game with a stronger passion. At the same time, I was able to understand the love that these minor league baseball players have. Making $1,500 a month, $1,500 a month, which is nothing. But for them, it was big. To me, to see that helped me put things in perspective, to understand the platform that I was on in 93, that when I went back to it in 95 and 96, I appreciated it even greater. So when we won those championships and we went through those things mattered to me far greater than what I did in 91, 92, 93. People don't see that, and people will never understand that to be success. You know, all they think about, well, he batted 202, you know, and he struck out a certain number of times. Yeah, okay. You know, but the effort was there, and the learning curve and the passion was there that has transcended not just to me, but to other people who are afraid to do things because they're worried about the perception that may come from other places. To me, that's more gratifying than anything.
You know, one of the things that struck me right there from Michael Jordan is that he needed that grounding. He needed something to showcase, because when he was younger, he kind of felt that he didn't really understand that he had certain God-given abilities that helped him excel at basketball. Although when he was younger, he was very good at baseball. But sometimes he felt like the reason why his teammates weren't improving is because they weren't practicing enough. They weren't trying hard enough. But when he went through baseball and he saw that no matter how hard he tried, he was not as good as teammates that were, honestly, weren't practicing half as hard as he was. So then he began to get a better perspective of, okay, sometimes it's not that these guys aren't trying hard. It's that they're just not as talented as I am. So when he came back to play, not only did he have a better love and appreciation for what he had and for the game, and never let certain commercial aspects of it or the excesses get in the way of his love, but he also became a better teammate because he then began to appreciate the Steve Kerrs. If you notice, I'm going to do my horrible Michael Jordan impression, so watch out for that. But you notice when he came back, you know, you would hear more, hey, Tony Kukoc, he was big for us there last night. Tony Kukoc tonight was huge. Or he would, you know, shout out Steve Kerr or Luke Longley. He would name those guys more often. Even if the announcer would say, Michael, you know, you had 47 tonight, he would say, yeah, I've had a great game, but he would always try to spin it into including his teammates. He didn't do that as much as, you know, as he should have, maybe. He did it, but not as much as he did when he was younger and they were known as the Michael and the Jordaires. But he was a far better teammate. He was not as dominant as a player in his second three-peat as he was in his first three-peat, but he was a far better teammate. And anybody that watched the Bulls know what I'm talking about, which is a complete 180 from a certain guy who's in LA who makes everything about him. A lot of those guys don't really have the love for the game that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson had. They love what they can get out of it. They love the money. They love the pussy. They love the fame. They love the praise. But constructive criticism, it cuts them. It bleeds them. They call ESPN. They call TNT. They demand people get fired because, hey, this guy criticized me for not trying hard enough on defense or working harder or not working harder on certain aspects of my game. And, you know, they hear that I'm not working hard enough, you know, as far as rebounding and, you know, how dare you criticize me? So, yeah, Michael Jordan did go and play baseball. And he did hit 202. But I think one of the things that gets forgotten about this situation is, number one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing to do in sports is to try to hit a baseball. And I think for a 31-year-old man to join the minor leagues after having not played the sport in 18 years, and to hit 202, I don't think that's that bad. And I think the last month before the strikeout, before the lockout, or the strike, I should say, I believe the last month he was hitting 260. So I'm not saying he was on fire. He wasn't Ted Williams or Barry Bonds, but he was steadily making improvement. And I think had he started playing baseball a lot earlier, had he started playing when he was a teen, kept playing baseball, I should say, and went into the pros, he could have been a very, very good baseball player. I don't know whether he'd have been the Michael Jordan of baseball, but people got to understand something too. Back in those days, in the 80s and early 90s, great athletes were expected to play and to try to excel in multiple sports. We know about Bo Jackson. We know about Deion Sanders. I want to make a point, and I brought him up before. I brought him up a couple times before. I know sometimes I see imbeciles will show a picture of Michael Jordan with Danny Ainge to try to insinuate that Michael played against slow, white, unathletic players. But these low IQ morons don't understand that Danny Ainge was a 3-sport star. Danny Ainge played high school football. Danny Ainge played college baseball. Danny Ainge actually played in the majors for the Toronto Blue Jays. The majors. Before he focused on baseball. Danny Ainge was a great athlete. But the low IQ morons, they don't know that. They just don't hear talking. But anyway, just want to put this out there. Tell me what you guys think.